Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Listen and grow as Del questions the status quo, encourages you to think differently, and empowers you to make a better life. Get ready as Del challenges core beliefs, seeks the truth, and reveals the roadmap to the lifestyle you really want. And now your host, multi-millionaire, national award-winning investor, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. You know, friends, it's Tell Del Tuesday, and I normally bring on people of all different financial positions, all different job backgrounds, history, and so forth. I like to spread it around. Today, what I want to get to is, have you ever just been in that group? And I always talk about, there's these different groups. I always contend that any one of us is only like 10% of the rest of the people, 90% of the other people are nothing like us, right? But the 10% I'm talking about today is, how many of you would just be extremely happy if you could add more income to your life? Now, I know everybody doesn't say they want to retire, but they really do. I get that. I know that, everybody'd like to be rich, but they won't admit that to themselves because it's, puts too much stress on them to set that high a goal and so forth. I see those people out there. But when I first started, I have to be honest with you, all I wanted to do was replace my earned income so that I could quit my 9 to 5, which wasn't 9 to 5. It was 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. So I was very much happy when income started coming in. And the understanding, to change from the understanding that putting your money in a 401k or putting your money in an IRA or any other investment vehicle where you just sit there every day and you hope and pray that the ticker number goes up on it, it's so much different than when I first found buying single-family houses and I started getting a check in the mail and seeing that I had more income, which most investments you have, whether it be 401ks or IRAs, or you're paying off your house early, or you're buying, oil, whatever it is you're buying, gold, it's not sending you a check in the mail every month. And that epiphany, I think, could take a lot of you over the top. The individual I brought in today has expressed that epiphany, and I wanted to get him on so he could share the feeling of that. With me here today is Nicholas Middleton out of the Detroit area, I believe. And Nicholas, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Del. I'm really happy to be here. First
time on the show. I know you've done a case study, but we're really excited to hear your story because I think there's so many people like you out there that, just the expression that I got from your bio was that, hey, I'm just darn happy that I'm making some more money. Why don't you pick that up for us for just a second and run with that thought and see where you go with that?
Oh, I sure will. Well, I'm a teacher, and it's in your background, you have teachers in your family.
Yes,
and
I
so
do.
You know what it's like, for these teachers. We start off after all the education, and we get into a field that's not incredibly high paying. And they tell us that, and the feeling is that we're actually helping, we're helping kids, we're doing things for society, and all of that's true. And it's a very purpose-filled profession. However, the income potential in teaching is very low, and so as I was getting into it, my first job, I made $39,000 is what I signed up for after, a 5-year degree. And that at the time, I was young. I came from a family that didn't really understand how to use money, and even the mindset around money seemed to be, fairly negative. I didn't know what I was doing financially. And I thought that was a good salary, but very quickly I learned that you can't get very far on a salary like that. And after a few years of teaching, that purpose of helping kids and feeling like I was really giving back to society started to diminish a little bit, and I started to really resent the choice that I made in teaching. And so I was looking for a way out, actually. I was looking for another profession when I found real estate investing. And it's really changed everything. It's changed just everything. And not just the income potential, but even, I can get into this a little bit more, but the purpose and fulfillment I feel in my career.
Yeah, we definitely want to get into that. Let's leave that to a later segment, though, because that's kind of the overall thing. Let's start with the beginning. You got into this quite a bit differently than I think than most people. Most people hear about us, join up, get the information, and do it. But you kind of meandered your way over here. You want to kind of go with us, how you found us?
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, I think I started in a place that a lot of real estate people did. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I realized this is where I wanted to go. And so I started reaching out to as many people as I could just to find out what I needed to know. I was, I'm an educator, so that desire to learn and educate myself is really strong. So I was looking for the correct information. So I was asking just many people. And I talked to somebody that I heard on a podcast. I reached out to them. I found their contact information and I reached out, and he was also a teacher that got into real estate and was doing really well. And his recommendation to me was to look up Lifestyles Unlimited, and I had never heard of the group before then. And he told me to listen to the radio show. And the interesting thing is, this guy was not a member at Lifestyles, but he said, this is where you want to go for the correct education. And so I started listening to the show, and in the introduction today, I couldn't stop smiling because all the introduction music and listening to your voice, it takes me back to that time. And so I started learning and getting a lot of information about what I needed to do, and very quickly I became a financial freedom member, an FFP member.
For those who don't know, that's our entry-level membership. And by the way, since you brought it up, that membership's normally $740 for 1 year. We have it on sale right now. On my website, you can go to DellHelpMeNow.com and get it for $297 for 2 years. So it's half the price, twice the time. And thank you for bringing that up, Nicholas. Go ahead.
Oh, you're welcome. So I went to I went to a free event in my area. It just so happened that after I found out there was a free event in Detroit. So I went to the free event. That's when I signed up, and I was already going to become a member for them, but I signed up at the free event. It lined up with all of the information that I read. So I knew that I was on the right track. So I went to the 2-day event. It just filled my head with so much information that after the first day, all about single family homes, I really had enough information just from that 2-day event to take action. And I didn't feel comfortable taking action until then. And fast forward a month after that, I bought my first rental property.
A lot of people say that it's like drinking water out of a fire hose. Did you get that feeling at all?
Yeah. Especially the second day when they talked about all the multifamily. That was an amazing day, and my head was spinning after that day for sure.
So as a teacher, I'm just speaking to you as one teacher to another. When I wrote the book for the outline to the seminar, I'd done the seminar out of my head forever. But when we had to have other people start teaching it, I had to write the book. And really what the book became was, there used to be a 15-week seminar that I gave after you joined up, believe it or not. Now it's all on video. You can go pick it up piece by piece by piece, wherever you want. But it was 15 weeks in a row. I just met with everybody once a week and taught them a whole new class. Each page in that book was one of those 3-hour seminars. So we're taking, you're going through those pages and go, there's a 3-hour seminar, there's a 3-hour seminar, there's a 3-hour seminar. But yet I wanted people to walk out of there and know that day they walked out on Sunday afternoon that they could Monday go buy something that they really needed to. Did you get that feel you were empowered enough to go do something?
Yeah. There was no, the presenter at the 2-day, he didn't hide anything from us. It was correct information right away. It wasn't just, a program that they were trying to sell to us. It was, all of the information was good information. It was high value. It was easy to understand. And I was able to take that information and to do something with it without, buying more stuff. So it was really important for me to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a good conversation for me. I'm enjoying this probably more than the listeners are. But it's that I remember when I used to go to seminars before I had Lifestyles, because I was retired and I was bored and I had nothing to do, so I'd go listen to seminars. And it was always, if you go back and buy our book or our CDs or our tapes or whatever they were selling at the time, you'll get the 27 secrets. And I'm going, dude, I'm here. Why don't you just tell me the 27? You told me you were going to tell me. Now tell me. And when I first wrote this, the 2-day workshop, I was like, I want people to walk out here and go, I got what I paid for. I now know how real estate works. I could go do it if I wanted to. The upgrades for us, just throwing this out there, see how you feel about this. The upgrades were, okay, if you want me to personally spend my life helping you, and then later, if you want me to get a millionaire to spend his life, part of his life helping you, you got to pay extra because those people have to be paid. Did you have any problem with that?
I had no problem with that. I have paid for the upgrades, and it's been a significant help to me. And I could get into specifics on why that has been so helpful for me in my process. But at the very beginning, just going to the 2-day and for that, I consider it was such a minimum investment for me at the beginning. And what it gave me was an incredible amount of value. And I took that and I said, well, if I get this amount of value from that minimum investment, this upgraded membership, that's going to be a significant amount of value. And that proved to be true for me.
Yeah, the way that I envisioned it as a marketing product was that if you give them everything in the 2-day and don't hide anything, then they feel like they got the $10,000 or $20,000 upgrade, but they're not forced to buy it. They could go they could go do it. They've got the information. Then you feel comfortable that we didn't cheat you on your entry level purchase, which was very inexpensive. Like I said, it's normally $740 for a year. That's pretty cheap, but I've got it going right now for 2 years for $297. And that's giving it away. But the bottom line is right now, because the market's so good, I want people out there getting involved. So it's pretty much a way of letting anybody get in. Anybody can afford $297, and that's 2 years. So you got that bottom level information. Let's talk about the 2-day a little bit before we move on, because we got a lot to talk about, and that is. Oh, man, we're coming up on a break already. It's too much fun to talk to you. When we come back, what I want to talk about is think about the epiphanies you had on Saturday. You've been doing it, you've been looking at it, or you actually hadn't done it yet, but you've been looking at it, and you heard certain things that go, bam, that's what I was missing. I had all these ideas, but that tied it all together. What was the bam on Saturday? And then, of course, Sunday is a whole different set of potatoes there. It's unbelievable the stuff we do on Sunday, but let's start with what you remember on Saturday as being the high point, the aha moment, and then we'll talk about the aha moment of Sunday. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Nicholas Middleton and the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Teaching you with a roadmap to creating the lifestyle you really want. Keep listening. The Del Walmsley Radio Show returns in moments.
Lifestyles Unlimited Success Stories.
If you got laid off tomorrow, what would you do? Would you have to be working at McDonald's or wait to try and find another job with the downsizing the economy? Kept on coming to meetings, even with David Fisher online and stuff like that, but still we just we need to make the jump.
So we kept praying for time to get this job done, to be able to find the properties. How do we find the properties? How do you find the time? And God answered our prayers, and he got downsized from his corporate job. This house was a dog, and through the rehab, I think we turned it into a little pony.
You bought the house for $73,000.
Correct.
And your appraised value actually is $144,000. You put in $45,000 worth of work, so that leaves you a net equity of $11,000 with a return on capital gain of 70%. The cash flow is $458 a month for a cash-on-cash return rate of 35%.
In-person and online learning dates at lukstudy.com.
You're hearing the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Want more life-changing knowledge? Access our podcast and listen on demand at lifestylesunlimited.com under the radio tab. Now your host, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Nicholas Middleton out of Detroit. As we went to break, I was asking Nicholas to think about what were the epiphany moments in the 2-day seminar. And let's start with Saturday, if we could, Nicholas. Well, what you did all this research, then you came in there. There had to have been something that's tied it all together for you and said, boy, that's what I missed. That's what I needed.
Yeah, it's a great question. Some of the books that I read, they were saying things like you have to do real estate the right way, or you could get in a lot of trouble. You have to buy the right property. You have to get the right financing, but they wouldn't really tell me what the right property or how to find the right property was, or what the right kind of financing was. And so I'm sitting there on Saturday at the 2-day, and the presenter got into the portion about, how do you find a property? What is the right property? And he pulls out the computer, and he opens the computer, and he says, all right, let's search this area. And he goes through the process of how he would find a property that would work. And those specifics, not only, it wasn't a property, he was from Texas. He wasn't showing us properties in Texas. He was showing us properties in Detroit. And his process of how to find this property. And he would go through the whole thing on the computer. And we were going through it with him. And that whole process of learning how to do that was just a huge moment in terms of it was an aha moment, but more of like, well, I can do that. Now I know how they do it. It's like peeking behind the curtain. Now I know what's going on over there. I know how to do it now because he just showed me all the steps. And then it was the same for the financing. Well, yeah, you got to get good financing. Well, this is how you do it. And he would go through the steps.
When I first started doing that, when I did the seminars, I'd pull that out and do it live like that. There would be people literally would get up out of the seminar, believe this or not, and go get on their phone and look the thing up to see if it was a real deal, that I didn't make it up, and try to buy it. They would leave the seminar and miss all the other information about how to do it because I had just showed them a real deal, and they would just get up and go try to buy it, which was pretty funny, but that's a side story.
That lucky seller.
Yeah. Okay, so you saw that, and how about the introduction to the financing? Did that blow your mind that we were able to get in for many deals for much less? Although I looked at your deals, you didn't use any of that hard money or didn't use it as strongly as some of them use it. But did it blow your mind that some of the people were getting in for very low down payments?
Oh yeah. I didn't even know that was so. I knew that it was possible, but I didn't know if it was possible for me because I thought it was, just this big secret that only a few people knew, or, this club that I had to buy into. And then I learned how to do it, and it made it possible for me. And so, in terms of epiphanies, that feeling or that belief of, wow, this is possible for me. And from my background, this is possible for me as a teacher and the income level that I have. This is possible for me and my family. It was a huge thing for me.
One of the biggest fears that beginners have, sort through it, is that, okay, if I buy this house, what if I can't rent it? Were you surprised how easy it was to rent the property once I taught you, or once you took my class? Who'd you take it from, by the way?
Brian
Sifford? Okay. So were you surprised how easy it was to rent your property after you had been given that knowledge?
It was so easy. I bought the property, I closed on it, the next day I had a renter.
People don't understand that. If you do this right, if you have the best product at the best price, which means you have to have a good product and you also have to have a fair price. But if you do, people will bang your door down because there is a less than sufficient supply of rental houses. It's just unbelievably easy. Now, it's different if you own a 300-unit apartment complex on a street where there's 11 of them in a row, like I had one time. And in that case, I had best product, best price, and I put 3 businesses out of business because I stole all their tenants from them. So That kind of situation is competition. But in houses, there's really no competition. You rent yours, it's gone. There's no more left, period. People got to buy or they're done. Let's move on to the second day, multifamily day. I get some of my greatest epiphanies come out of the beginning of this day. I don't know if you remember what comes out at the beginning, but let's talk about the epiphanies on the second day.
Well, I found out that for the multifamily properties, the money that I could make from multifamily properties was significantly more than the money I could be made from a single family property, and that the secret is mostly in the operations of that, and not necessarily depending on the market. And I mean, it was very eye opening in terms of the velocity in which I could create more and more wealth. That it could really speed up in the multifamily process.
So you've hit on something that's very important to me personally, and that is a lot of people that have come through my program over the years who thought of themselves as, a seminar guy or whatever, and they went off and they copied my material. And the funny part about it is they only copy the part about how to do syndications, how to put them together, and they copy about how great the money returns can be when you do it correctly. But you know what they never teach them is how to operate the property. In fact, two of the only other guys that copy me directly that were my students out there with their own seminar business have never had a successful apartment complex that they ran themselves while they were working here, with us. And it's funny because they figured out that they can make more money being a syndicator, or they figured out they can make more money being a seminar guy than they could by actually operating the properties themselves, because they just didn't want to learn the right way to do it. But if you learn the right way to do it, that's when you can take the apartment complexes and double their value or triple their value of your investment. So sorry about putting that little thing in there. Just to me as a teacher, it's so important. They don't teach operations. They teach syndications. So you're lucky you came here and you got that. I want to ask you another one. First thing out of the blocks on Sunday, we make 2 points. One, I show you how the single-family houses over a period of time go down in rate of return profitability because there's too much equity. So we're proving out the point that leverage is the key. Then the second point we make is that the average person in this country makes less than 1% on their net worth. Do you remember that part where we ask you to add up your income and your net worth? Mm-hmm. What did that say to you?
It's a way of thinking that I had never thought before. And I mean, when I first started at the 2-day, I didn't have any of really either. I didn't have any cash flow or passive income coming in, and I didn't have much of a net worth at that time. So it was really helpful to think, this is how I need to be thinking, and this is how I need to be playing this game. I need to be considering my net worth. I need to be considering the percentage that my passive income of my net worth, and learning that was helpful in playing the game successfully.
So as the first segment, you'd said, I can go further down that path. I said, well, wait, let's go down that path now. What has this meant to you as a person? Because you said somewhere in your bio that real estate didn't just change your financial situation, it changed you as a person. You want to share that? Yeah.
So it gave me, self-esteem. It gave me a belief in myself. It strengthened who I was as a person. It wasn't easy for me in the beginning. The emotional toll that it took to buy that first property was quite high for me, and it was a considerable amount of my net worth, and I was on the hook 100% of making this work, and it was an emotional toll in the beginning, and I went through it, and I went through the problems of it, and going through all of the situations strengthened me because I got through each one. And what I noticed was the other problems that I thought were problems especially in my career of dealing with children and all of the, the behaviors or all of the situations that I couldn't control with policy or, parenting or whatever it might be. They used to be such big problems, started to turn into very little problems. And I started to see that I was actually really, really good at teaching. And I was really good at remaining calm and in control of myself in the classroom. And I saw these huge benefits to the kids that I was teaching. And also all of the mindset changes that I made through the process of, just how I thought about things, how I thought about, money, how I thought about, goals and vision. All of that went into the classroom. And I was teaching these little kids all these things. And it was really meaningful to them to hear this real world stuff. So I was able to take all of these real world stories that I was creating in my life from real estate, and I was able to share with the students in the classroom real life. I had much more experience behind the words that I was saying to the kids, and I started to see things happen in the classroom, and it just made it powerful, and I just felt fulfilling. And some of the kids that I teach now come from such challenging backgrounds, and I'm able to sit there and be calm no matter what they bring into the classroom, and then help them because I'm strong enough now. I'm strong enough to really take all of this stuff and help them in their life.
Most of us, Nicholas, we go in life as far as we can go. We can't see that far. We go far as we can see, and then we stop and look around and see what we can do from there. When you have these very large enlightenment periods in your life, like being financially enlightened, like you are in the 2-day, and then going through it, like you're talking about, which gives you both financial information enlightenment, but self-awareness enlightenment. Where has that led you to believe that you want to go now in your life? Has it changed your goals in life?
Well, it has. I feel like I can do anything. I feel like I can go anywhere. And you say this a lot. You can do anything you want in life, but you can't do everything. I hear you say that, and that resonates with me. But I feel like I can do anything that I want, and so I'm able to pick where I want to go. And there's a power to that. It's amazing to have that feeling.
That's a great thing. Before we get cut off here, I want to get out there one more time, Nicholas, that if people want to get this discount for this FFP membership you're talking about, which is just the entry-level membership, the 2-day class and the membership for 2 years, it's normally $740 for 1 year. It's now $297 for 2 years, but you got to go to my website. Go to DellHelpMeNow.com, and Dell is DEL, help me, all one word, DellHelpMeNow.com. And put in the code DEL, D-E-L, and that will get you the $297. Nicholas, I appreciate you coming on, man, and sharing your story, and I look forward to hearing more of your success story as you move along and grow and continue to build your portfolio. For the rest of you out there, remember this. It's not just the money. It's the lifestyle. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley radio show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers. The Del Walmsley show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.